Welcome back to DK Custom Products. I'm Devin here with Dwayne behind the camera, and we're going to do a deeper dive into the 2026 SG3 today. And we're just going to start, by taking the seats off, the covers off. We're going to be removing the tour pack and pulling the body off, and we're just going to take y'all along for the ride, and we're going to just show you what we see as we're taking it apart. But what we're most interested in is the suspension on this. We really want to to figure out exactly how that works, and we're very curious on that. We want to show some video of how that moves, how it works, and like I said, we were very impressed with this suspension, the Day Dion suspension. And if we've already done a walk around on this bike, and if you want to see that video, click that video here in the corner. We're fixing to get started, tearing it down. One thing that we did not notice when we were doing the walk around, and actually when we were doing the walk around at the Harley dealership, and I wish I'd have noticed it then, is that this body is significantly crooked. I mean, this side is significantly higher than the right-hand side is significantly higher than the left-hand side. This has been an issue for years with the Harley trikes. And we, in our previous videos, we've been to the dealership and measured different bikes, and they're all a little bit off. This one appears to be pretty bad off, and now that I've seen it, I can't unsee it. So just something that y'all may want to watch out for. So on this side, we got 13 3/4. And on this side, we've got 13 1/2. So that's 1/4 of an inch difference. And it looks like more than that. Now that I've seen it, I can't unsee it, but we're going to try to get that out of it. What's causing this could be how the fenders are molded, how the body's molded. I mean, it could have set funny on the floor before they put it on the body, that caused it to deform a little bit. Who really knows? But we're going to try to get that figured out and see if we can't remedy it. So now we'll go ahead and remove the right-hand side cover. Just a look behind that. And behind here, we got pretty much as usual. We got all the RDRS, the brake stuff. Oxygen sensor hookups, all this similar to what it was the past year. Everything behind that appears to be new, and now I couldn't even see the battery from the top, but you can see it right here as well. Looks like they actually moved it forward a little bit. Now we're going to move the left-hand side cover. Again, doesn't look like much has changed back here. Looks like we got the ECM here up top and then the BCM here on the side. I think that's similar to the previous years. We've got our main fuse here and our fuse box here as per usual. Got our primary vent there. And of course you can see the shock adjuster below the left-hand passenger peg there. So let's just dive right into it. This is all new to me, so I'm just going to call things out as I see them. All right, so we got our hydraulic brake line here to our caliper here. Of course, the disc. So the whole swing arm, of course, is cast aluminum here that we can see. And this is what moves independent from the bike. So this does not move. This is solid with the bike. The swing arm is separate from this, and this is what moves. So this is stationary, and this is not. As far as this is stationary with the frame of the bike, and this is not. It is rubber mounted, however, so not fully stationary, but it's rubber mounted like the previous swing arm would have been, where this is the independent bit, the De Leon suspension that actually mounts. We'll have to get a different view to show you, but it's up here in the front. This is where the center differential is mounted here, and this is mounted to the typical location in the front that's rubber mounted. But back here, this area, this solid piece of aluminum here that goes in to some sort of side-to-side bearing up there. I'm not exactly sure what to call that on the Day Dion suspension, but this is actually where, if you'll come back out, that, if you follow it, is this. that's where this is mounted. So the differential is separate than this piece. It's not mounted in the same place. They do not move together. Therefore, the tires can move independent from that odd bearing in the front there, but the differential itself is mounted how the previous year models were to that rubber mounted transmission bracket in the front. So, and as you can see, this is drastically different than what the previous year models were. I mean, it was a solid rear axle like what you would see on an old Mustang or something. This is not that. This again is something more that I would typically see more out of Can-Am in the past. And we got a lot less unsprung weight here. I think Harley said 65 pounds. We'll be testing that, of course, for our suspension. Everything is spherical bearings. I mean, they're everywhere. Hum joints, spherical bearings. The emergency brake looks a little under-engineered, honestly, compared to everything else. That's the best way I can say that. Of course, we got our RDRS sensor here, which basically is just wheel speed sensor, one on each side, of course. We got our sway bar here that mounts down here, and pretty flimsy linkage here for that sway bar. That's probably something that we can upgrade there. We'll look at that, doing that in the future as well. And of course, the shock's mounted here in the front, and we're going to get some shock measurements, see what size shock this is, and all of that coming up. We'll come back with some more information on that. Another interesting thing to note is the belt now. The belt goes to right here and then goes into that differential housing. So I would guess that they probably did something pretty, or they could have done something crazy with the gearing here. It feels like to me they kept the gearing about the same as the other one. But one thing I did notice is this belt is very loud. I don't know what the specs on it were. They said that everything was set up when we got it. This belt is significantly looser than when we received it, because I thought it was too loose. I have not looked into this. I don't know if this is the proper tension or not. It's definitely different than when we picked it up. So we'll get back into that and address that later as well. We want to see how the suspension works and get some more information on the suspension. So what we're doing here is we're going to go ahead and jack it up, because we're very curious to see what length shocks these are. $14.5. If this shock has more than 3¼ inches of travel, I would be very surprised. Right at 3¼ inches. So it looks like these shocks have 3¼ inches travel. I suspected that. Harley did say that it has 5 inches of wheel travel, and that's very likely. The shocks are at an angle, and they're probably talking about this outer corner of the tire. If this one was all the way dropped down and that one was all the way up, it's probably 5 inches difference in that measurement. So 3¼ inches of shock travel on the 2026 new suspension shocks, and ours for the older model had 4 inches of travel. Also important to note that we get 4 inches of travel out of a 13 or a 14-inch shock. They've got an even longer shock at 14.5 inches here. So at minimum, we could get another ½ inch of travel above 4 inches, but we got to make sure that the body and the suspension will handle that much travel as well. So that's what we're going to be getting into next. There's a lot of different factors that go into play with a good suspension, and suspension travel isn't the end all be all. I mean, it's like, how does it rebound? When does it rebound? Does it rebound when it needs to, faster versus slower? All of these things go into it. So the spring rate is very important. The spring rate has to go with the damping of the shock itself. So the spring actually just holds the bike up. That's its only thing. And it pushes back against the bike when it tries to dip down. Well, the shock itself is just damping. It's damping that movement, trying to slow it down, trying to control that movement. So what I'm trying to get at is everything has to work together. The spring rate has to work with your damping. Your damping has to work with that. Well, your shock itself and what it's doing has to work with your stabilizer bar. Is your stabilizer bar stout enough? What does that do for the side to side? If you have too big of a stabilizer bar, now you're back with may as well have a solid rear end like we had on the older models. So everything's kind of give and take in suspension, and there's no one size fits all. And that's what we're going to be diving into next here in-house, is trying to play with all these configurations and see what actually works the best for the ride quality. Not only ride quality, but we want to keep that performance as well. We're going to do some video showing this suspension at, working, going down the road next. And we're going to try to get all of our testing with these stock shocks out of the way. First, we're going to make it where we can put those back on and do some back-to-back testing. But we want to study this setup and see what all we can learn from this before we dive into it with our own shocks and making our own adjustments. So we hope you like this deep dive into the 2026 SG3 and the new suspension that all the trikes have now. And stay tuned. We're going to be even going further. We're going to be showing the whole process along the way, what we learn, and all of that. If you have any comments about what you've seen today or any questions about it, leave us a comment. We do answer every comment on YouTube. Like our video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already done that. Y'all ride safe out there.